Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm Nick, and today I'm continuing my Terminator review series with Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. And guys, I'm not alone in this review series. We got Jason Nike from the J-Man's Movie Cave, who is also going through the Terminator franchise the same time as me. So go check out his review as well. I'll put a link in the description for that. And also, if you want to follow me on social media, I will put links to all my social medias in the description of this video, guys. Go check it out if you're interested. And let's dive in. So Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines was released in 2003. It stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Nick Stahl, and Claire Danes, and was directed by Jonathan Masta. So my backstory with this movie is that I received it as a gift from my brother on VHS. I was probably around grade 7 or 8 when this movie came out. And I remember I had a little party at my house with my friends. We popped it in and had a pretty good time with it. Funny enough, nowadays as an adult, this is the only Terminator film I don't own on physical media for some reason. I own all other 5 of them on Blu-ray, but I just do not own Terminator 3, so I gotta get on that. So the basic plot to this film is basically a cheap rehash of T2. It's about John Connor as a young adult being hunted down by this cyborg assassin named the TX. And again, a T-800 model is sent back to the past as well to protect John and his future wife. So right off the bat, I feel like this movie is like just the shell of what the first 2 movies were, without any of the real interesting storylines or creativity in there. This is basically just a very basic version of what we've seen before. We got John Connor on the run again from this murderous robot, and we get Arnold sent back to save him. It's just such a huge downgrade from the first 2 films, who were written and directed beautifully by James Cameron. John Connor is pretty much living off the grid in this movie. He is a loner, he stays to himself so that there's no way that machines or anybody can find him to kill him. He still doesn't trust any technology, and I don't blame him after the last few films. And he's just so disconnected from society that it makes him kind of an unlikable character. Like, it's okay to be on the run and hiding, but Nick Stahl's performance falls completely flat. It makes him feel so forgettable. He's not likable one bit, and it's just not what I want from a John Connor, you know, after having such a fun kid in the last movie. Like, you could still have him written as like a loner and trying to live off the grid, and that makes sense. It's just his personality, and the character himself is just so unlikable and just not a fun character. Like, it's kind of bad the side character in this, Catherine Brewster, who eventually will become John's wife in the future, I think she's more likable and a better character than John in this, so that's kind of sad when I barely know this woman and I prefer her over him. But I will say the best part about this movie is definitely Arnold Schwarzenegger returning as a T-800 model. I feel like this is the role that Arnold was meant to play his whole life. He's easily the best part of this film. His performance is amazing. He gets a few cheesy comedic dialogue moments, but to be honest, I don't mind those. It actually works with his character. It's just unfortunate that him and John no longer have this bond that they created in the last film, since this is a different model of the T-800. So we lose everything we built from T2, which is so unfortunate because that was such a great relationship to follow. And our villain in this one is a TX model. Like I'll say in this video, and I'll probably have to say it in future videos, you can never top the T-1000 from Terminator 2. They kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit with that because he was such a great villain that there's no way you could top it. And you can kind of tell with this movie, it's like they didn't really know what to do, so they gender swapped them. Now it's a female TX. I mean, she doesn't really do anything to stand out aside from having a built-in weapon that she can cycle through from like a gun to a flamethrower, and that built right into her arms. I'm like, okay, that's probably the only really redeemable quality about her. Besides that, she does the same old shape-shifting that the T-1000 did, and it's like they couldn't come up with any better ideas aside from the gender swap and her weaponized arm. Aside from that, she's very forgettable. She has a couple cool kills. There's one that's really awesome where she punches through the guy's chest and then steers through the guy's chest covered in blood. And to me, they should have focused more on stuff like that. If you couldn't come up with a real good idea for your villain, give them some badass kills. At least make them the most goriest villain in the franchise to date. Like, you know, they could have went with that. And I think a lot of people would be talking about the TX a lot more nowadays and appreciate the villain much more. Since this film has such a thin plot line, along with Judgment Day being inevitable, so it's like they're not really hiding an ending here. It's a little predictable. It makes the ending feel a little anticlimactic to me, and the whole thing feels a little pointless, to be honest. Not to mention that 80% of this movie, they're just driving around. And not in like car chase scenes or anything, they're literally just driving around. First they're in a truck forever, driving around. We do get one chase scene in that moment, which is one of the better parts of the film. You get Arnie hanging off the crane and that and going through the buildings. One of the best action scenes in the film. We don't get many, but that's one of them. But aside from that, they leave there, they go to like a Winnebago, drive around the rest of the movie. Oh, they make it to another place, they get in a plane, fly to the next destination. It's like, this is just a traveling film where not too much is happening. Since I mentioned that car chase scene, I'll mention probably, aside from that, the only other really cool action scene in this film is when they're at the funeral home, getting the weapons out of Sarah Connor's casket. T-800 walks out of there with the casket on his arms and they're shooting it up like crazy, the cops and that, the whole SWAT team. That moment is so awesome, especially since when he turns, he sees the psychiatrist from the first two films, our other cameo in this movie, and it's just so awesome. The fear in the psychiatrist's eyes is the exact same as Sarah Connor's in T2 when Arnold shows up at the asylum. And it's like, that was a cool little callback there. And speaking of Sarah Connor, it's really unfortunate that she gets killed sometime in between T2 and T3 due to leukemia. And it feels so cheap because all the things she went through in that, and that's how you're just going to kill off her character off screen like that. And I felt like that was a disservice to the character. And there's this whole scene near the end where the TX hacks into the T-800 and basically tries to turn him bad again. And I find that scene so cringeworthy. It could have worked if you would have just made him a full-on villain again, like in the first film. That would have been badass, I think. Better than what we got anyway. We get like the T-800 fighting himself. It's like, I'm trying to control it. And it's just so cringeworthy, man. I'm like, terrible. So all in all, guys, this could be a mildly entertaining popcorn flick if you turn your brain off and can look past the million flaws in it. And it's just too bad that that ending just is never satisfying to me, where they just go into shelter while Judgment Day happens and that's the end. I'm like, I wanted to see Judgment Day happen, like the process of it happening with John out there becoming the soldier and the leader he will eventually become, like, you know. But no, instead, they just go into hiding. The movie ends. And I feel like nothing's accomplished here. It's just not satisfying at all. So if I'm going to have to go ahead and slap a rating on this film, it's pretty tough for me because I have nostalgia and entertainment at one end, while I have my critical movie review thinking and that at the other. And I think I'm going to have to work it out to a 5.5 out of 10. I think it misses the pass mark by just a little bit. And it probably would be even lower if I didn't watch this all the time as a kid. And I have a little bit of memories with this film, but I can't see past a lot of its flaws. So there you have it, guys. There's my review on Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. Let me know down below in the comments section what you guys thought of this film and where does it place in your ranking around. Do you love it? Do you hate it? I would love to hear your thoughts. And I will be back next week with Terminator Salvation. And until next time, thanks for watching.